So I was scrolling Facebook the other day and came across my old Oklahoma OGs fighter list, and nobody said a thing on it the first time I did it a couple years ago, And so I went ahead, and I still feel like it's a cool list, and it gives shouts out to a lot of unknowns. I mean, there's a couple, like big names on there, but they're only on there because I like actually know them. And but it's a lot of unknown, a lot of guys who aren't headliners, or if they are, they're fighting, the hometown hero, and these guys are the unsung heroes of fight cards, in general. But what's funny is, like I said, so I released this years ago, and nobody said a word. I released it this time, and everybody got an opinion on it, and that's cool. It's actually kind of cool, like I like the Jordan debate with LeBron and stuff. I jump in on people's posts about who the GOAT is of this and who the GOAT is of that, or who the tough guys are, So that's cool. People want to talk, but a lot of Tulsa guys, they were like, "Hey, man, how can you forget about Mikey or this guy or that guy?" And look, of course, Mikey Barnett's a legend, right? Me and my buddy Aaron Alexander, like we had a plan back in like 98, 97. We was going to move up there to Tulsa, train with Mikey at the Lions Den, then move out to Vegas and train with Ken Shamrock and those guys at Lions Den. So of course Mikey's a legend, but like I said, these are guys that I know, like guys I trained with, guys I came up on cards with, guys who fought at the same, venues and shit, So like, yeah, I know Mikey, but I don't know Mikey. You know what I mean? And you always kind of had that Tulsa OKC rivalry too, right? Like now that I'm retired, and there's some super cool cats up in Tulsa. Jason Nicholson actually grappled at Mikey Burnett's tournament, years ago. Mikey is cool, but back in the day, you kind of had that rivalry, and you go up to Tulsa from Oklahoma City, they kind of booed you. Didn't really like the Oklahoma City, Moore, Norman area. They didn't really, want to give you no love up there, So I don't really have a whole lot of on my list of Tulsa guys, because I still kind of have that little rivalry, even though I respect you guys now, and high school football and shit too, right? Like Norman High and Tulsa Union, Jinx, and all you guys, you guys know the rivalry, the I-44, the Turnpike rivalry, So I'm not trying to hate on Tulsa. I'm just, like I don't know you guys like I know these guys, But anyway, man, let's do this list, right? So my list was the big names, right? Is so why I got the big names in there? Well, Matt Grice. I fought Matt Grice 2 fights before he went to the UFC. And my kid, I had this really bad ex, and she was on drugs and alcohol, and I tried to strike. I couldn't save her, right? Captain Save a Hoe, but I couldn't, and knocked her up. And she had my son 2.5 months early, and he didn't make it. And Jason Nicholson's a great guy, like I just said. About some of the Tulsa guys are great, right? And he's the promoter. Says, "Hey, man, nobody expects you to fight." I said, "No, I'm going to fight," and I went up and I weighed in and I fought Matt, and everybody say, "Watch his head kick, watch his head kick," or not watch his head kick. Everybody said, "Watch his shot, watch his shot." Matt had never thrown a fucking kick, right? At this point, Matt had just been fucking taking people down, beating the shit out of him, right? And I was like, okay. So I go out there, bam, I throw a really cool kick, hit him in the side. I crushed most guys. I got a really cool picture of it. And by the time I put my foot down from the kicking him, he's doing like a WWF kick, like all out, like jumps up and like kicks me in the head, and Matt's a short dude. I'm not talking shit. He kicked my ass, right? But he's like 5'2", 5'3". He's a short dude, and he jumps up. I'm 6 foot, and he jumps up and kicks me in the eye, knocks me down. I can't see, and I've been watching videos on Matt, and so I was like, "Fuck, he's about to jump on me, start fucking me up." So I'm tapping, like, "Fuck, he's about to jump on me, start fucking me up." And thank goodness the ref see me tap, and Matt probably took it a little easy on me too, because after the fight, I said, "Hey, man, thank you so much for fighting. It's so sad what happened, about the kid, and I'm like, hey, I appreciate it." It's like, people ain't lining up to fight me, and I'm like, "Oh, I get it, man." He just kicked my ass, But so that's why Matt, yes, he's a legend. Everybody knows Matt. That's why he's on this kind of underground thing, though, is because I actually know Matt, Another one is Brandon Sheldon. Now, I don't know, like nationally, I don't know, if he ever took off nationally, but here in Oklahoma, I mean, he's ridiculous. He just won the a big deal, a Sambo deal. He's about to go to Pan Americans and shit. And he did that like on the side, kind of like a joke. Like Doc signed him up. He's like, "Oh, okay," and he went and won it the next day. Like Dr. Ron Tripp signed him up. He wore Doc's gi, pretty cool, So Brandon trained with us of USA Stars, and he's only a little guy, man. He's like, look, another, like I'm kind of like Matt Grice, right? He's like 125 guy, 135 guy, even littler, But Man, he used to kick my ass. Like, this little dude was whooping my ass. There was nothing I could do with him. I was helpless, you know. That's why when I see these videos of these big guys, fucking, I don't know, the big bodybuilder on YouTube, it's Bradley something, whatever, you know. He's always talking, oh, man, I'm this, I'm that. I'll kill you, little guys. Oh, yeah, whatever, dude. Fucking Brandon Sheldon, you know, would toy with me. You know, it was really humbling. You know, so these little guys are bad. And I want to say his record's like 30-3 or something. Like, I don't know why Brandon didn't go to the UFC. I have no clue, because he's that kind of fighter, you know. So Brandon's on the list. Another big name is Zach George. You know, he's I don't know if he's bigger than Brandon, really. Like maybe nationally he is, you know, because he got on a couple of the bigger shows. But I really think Brandon probably would have took him if they got in the cage. It almost happened a couple times, but, you know, just didn't happen. But Zach George, man. So I sucked down from like 185 down to 155, and I had a good matchup against one of Conan's guys, right? And I seen the guy there, and we're warming up and stuff, and we get out there, I'm warming up, and we're about to walk to the cage, and Zach George is beside me. I'm like, what's going on, Zach? He's like, oh, we're fighting. I'm like, well, fuck, we are. I think it was like Matt Johnson or some shit like that. The guy's supposed to fight. So I go back. I'm like, hey, man, I'm not fucking fighting Zach. Like, so-and-so rolled his ankle. I'm like, he rolled his ankle? When? I just seen him, like, fucking walk around and bullshitting, you know? And so I'm like, no, I'm not doing it, man. And he's like, I'll pay you $1,500. We'll say it's $1,500. It was like triple. It might have been $900. Shit, I can't remember. It was triple. It was triple what the fuck I was getting paid back then, right? So I was like, fuck it, I'll fight him. I'll fight him for that. So I went back out there. Zach shook my hand. I was like, all right, we'll do this. Well, yeah. And so I went out there and thought I had Zach, but Zach ended up giving me some kind of crazy choke. I hit him in a double leg, put him in the cage. I thought I was going to get him, and then I was waking up. So, you know, that's why Zach's on there. Another big name, kind of like Zach, he went to the IFL, WC, all that stuff, is Wayne Cole. You know, and like, I knew Wayne. Wayne was a local tough guy, right? You know, I knew Wayne as a martial artist. So if you're from Central Oklahoma, you know, Wayne had a kind of a checkered past with the law and with street gangs and stuff like that. But I didn't know Wayne like that. I knew Wayne as a martial artist. We trained a little bit together at USA Stars. We came up with some of the same cards, you know, and you know, we had a couple of the same opponents, like Brian Piccolo, who absolutely destroyed me. You know, I had no idea he was like a 2-time All-American wrestler. And, I mean, I knew he was a badass, but I know what kind of, you know, what level badass he was, right? But Wayne knocked him out. You know, Wayne stuffed the shot a couple times, knocked out Brian Piccolo, which was amazing. The farmers market just went crazy, you know, because Brian Piccolo's a bad motherfucker. You know, so I knew Wayne as a martial artist, not on the streets. So, you know, some of you guys might have had some problems with him on the streets, and you're like, hey, man, you know, that's not the Wayne I knew. I knew Wayne the martial artist, and in that regard, he was a good guy, and he was a solid fighter. Brian Piccolo, my first pro fight, man, he's just something else, right? I mean, he was the first cop to win gold, and at the same games in wrestling, judo, and jiu-jitsu. He was a judo Olympic alternate a few years ago. I believe he was a 2-time Big Ten champ, a 2-time All-American, I believe, too. I mean, the guy was ridiculous. Welcome to the big leagues, right? I told the wrong guys I was a tough guy, and we got in there and hooked it up. But that ass whooping led to 50 more fights, so I actually thank the shit out of the Web Boys for that. Down in Sulphur, they used to have the old caveman crew down there, and they gave me a shot when nobody else would, you know, so that was all right. I'll take that ass whooping. But Jeff Davis, the El Reno connection, Brandon Sheldon's from Jeff Davis, Brandon Sheldon, Jeff Davis, all out in El Reno. I think they wrestled together. If y'all don't know about El Reno, Oklahoma, in the last 30, 40 years, they're ridiculous. Like, they're one of the best teams in the nation, maybe the world, like, all the time. And Jeff's a good-looking guy, man. Dude looks like a model. We used to call him Pretty Boy. And I was like, man, I'm going to grab this dude. I'm going to clinch him. And I'm going to mess him up. And so go out there, and I get him in a clinch, and I hit him with the knee, and I might as well have acted like I was, like, flicking him. He didn't do nothing. Next thing I know, he hits me with this big knee and knocks me out. And that was about it. You know, Jeff's a bad dude. He went on to win a couple. I don't know why he stopped, though. You know, I think he went like 4-2, 5-2, something like that. He was a bad dude. I mean, Jeff could have probably went to the UFC, too. I don't know what ever happened with that, at least Bellator. Another guy, Jeff, you know, Brian Foster. Brian fought Jeff 3 times. And the first time Brian fought Jeff, he beat him. He was much bigger than Jeff was much bigger than Brian. The next time I was bullshitting with Brian. He's like, hey, you fought him too, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, he's a lot bigger, a pretty strong guy, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I'm ready for him this time. And Brian did look bigger. And then Brian went on to beat him 2 times. That was a pretty big time Oklahoma rivalry right there. And it was kind of wild because, Jeff's from El Reno, a little bit west of here. And then Brian's from out east out there in Sallisaw. And, Brian had his own squad out there from what I hear. I talked to Brian a little bit, but we weren't super close. But I heard he had a wrestling, right? Like they did wrestling high school out there, like the wrestling gym or some shit. I don't know where they were training. We had a little crew out there of some pretty tough guys. And the next guy's Jeremiah Caves, man. Caves was a fucking nightmare. I heard he was benching like 450 back then. And, man, Caves was putting it on motherfuckers back then. People were scared of Caves and Wayne Cole. Fucking Jeremiah Caves was beating the brakes off Wayne. And somehow Wayne came up with an armbar. I mean, he gutted it out. But, man, up until that armbar, he was beating. Jeremiah was the only person I seen like beat the brakes off Wayne like locally. I was like, holy shit, this guy's a nightmare. He also beat one of my guys pretty good, Troy Ellison. And so I was like, man, those Sallisaw boys were something, Brian's still fighting, I think. I mean, he had a little UFC run. And then I don't want to get to lying. I think he had something up with his head or something like that for a little while. And he got better, but they wouldn't license him to fight here. So he took some fights to pretty crazy places. And then he's made his way back. Now he won some big fights in some other countries. He came back and he's still fighting. And, and we're older. Like I'm older than those guys. I got a late start. I didn't start fighting professionally until I was 28. But Brian's got to be older too. But he's still fighting, and still kicking them, and that's cool, man. If you got to them, So here's some of the lesser names that people were probably like, huh? And like I said, man, this isn't really like a legends list. These are people that I know from Norman, Central Oklahoma area, usually. Besides Brian and those guys, and guys that I came up with. So, but here's some of the the under guys that saved cards. They literally saved cards. Like people weren't lining up to fight Matt Grice. People weren't lining up to fight Thomas Longacres up there in Tulsa. People weren't doing these. People don't want to fight these fuckers. And Looper. Chris Looper. He took a tough fight against Longacre. He took a tough fight down Louisiana against Christian Fulgham. He almost knocked Christian out. Christian's a bad dude, and he put a Looper's like retarded strong, like the first minute, and he caught Fulgham with a big haymaker, put him on the cage. I was like, oh, hit him, and he, Christian's a tough dude, and he came back and subbed Looper, but man, Looper just about shocked the world that one, Even the ref said if he'd have slapped Christian, he would have called it because Christian was out. But to Christian's credit, ref didn't call it, and he came back, But Looper fought a bunch of tough guys all around the country, and. I bet you a lot of you don't know, what I'm talking about, but the promoters do, Jason Nicholson, Doc Tripp, them guys, they know who Looper is because, he helped save cards. David Knight, a lot of you guys might not know David the Hitman Knight, but he was my buddy, and I turned him pro, and he did all right in MMA. What was he, like 8-6, 8-5? He did like 3-0, 4-0 in Muay Thai and kickboxing. He had a couple of each, and Dave probably would have done something. Dave got into some trouble in the streets and got him a lengthy prison sentence. But man, Dave was a tough guy, and he was the same thing. Me, Looper, Knight, we took fights literally on 30 minutes notice, 15 minutes notice. We saved cards. Like we helped our promoter, and we helped Oklahoma MMA, especially Central Oklahoma MMA. But we did all over the country, really. A lot of the guys that me, Looper, and Knight fought went on the UFC, Bellator, the Olympics. That's the level of competition that we were fighting. And, the thing about these tough guys is it's like kind of like Zach and Brandon. Brandon had told me that him and Doc had tried to get Zach to fight him, but they wanted a ridiculous amount of money because, Brandon was tough. So a lot of these tough guys don't want to take a tough guy fight at a local venue. They want it at the next level, which is understandable, I suppose, right? But, somebody's got to fight these guys, right? And so, me, Looper, Knight, we step up, we fight these guys, I put myself on the list, and maybe that's cocky, maybe that's arrogant. I don't care, sometimes you got to clap for yourself. I fought 10 next level guys. I fought several UFC fighters. I fought several Olympians. I fought, a couple Bellator guys. I fought in Bellator, and, I saved cards too, like a lot of people know me, and I fought from Maine to California to, Montana to New Orleans, and I ain't got a great record. People like to clown that. You guys can look me up. My record's pretty shitty, pretty dismal. I took fights I had no business taking because that's how I was making a living. I have 5 children, and I didn't really have a trade at the time, and that's how not only that, but I watched all the UFC fights and grew up watching Tyson, and I just wanted to be a fighter and be a tough guy. And even if I was getting my ass whooped, I was still getting a chance to try. And we shocked the world a couple of times. I beat Charlie Rader down there in Alexandria, Louisiana. He went on to go UFC and Bellator. I beat him. I can't find the video or Powerhouse Fighting Championships down in Alexandria, Louisiana. Jason Anderson, Charlie Rader. If anybody could find that, man, that'd be amazing because I can't find it. Beat Keith Richards. It's a local guy. I don't know if you guys know him. I want to say he's a couple times state champ down here. Keith used to train USA Stars with us, and he used to handle me easily, right? But Larry Schrock, he calls me up. He's like, "Hey Jay, Lamont cut his hand at work. I need you to fight Keith for this belt in a week and a half. And if you win, you got to defend the belt in a month against Lamont." So okay, Lamont was a terror. He's a big guy, like 6'4", 6'6", real long, but he can't wrestle really. Not the same level that I can wrestle, And so I wasn't really worried about that, but I was worried about Keith. I know, but like I said, that's how I made a living. I fought whoever, wherever, whenever. We actually shocked him, man. We got him. We went out there and we subbed Keith. I got the video on my YouTube, on my Rumble and all that shit. So yeah, man. I think I'm definitely one of the guys that helped Central Oklahoma MMA and actually Oklahoma in general because I fought all over the country, man. And I didn't always win, but I always put on, when I was never scared. And to me, that's what an OG, that's what a real fighter, that's what a man does, right? So I'm definitely on that list. We'll put both my nephews on the list too, and I say nephew, but they're really more like brothers. They're just a couple years younger than me. Mark Newcomb and Chris Newcomb. They both fought Brandon. Mark fought him twice. One time he looked really good, like he was grappling at a very high level with Brandon, and looked the fight was going really good until Brandon took over and got him. Because, like I said, Brandon's a next level fighter, man. And then the second time it went really bad. It's kind of a funny story because I went up to Train USA Stars after that, and Brandon's like, "Oh man, I'm sorry about that." I'm like, "Oh man, it was fighting school. He knows what we do, right?" Like, "Oh, I didn't want to fight the same guy 3 times." I said, "No, man, you didn't fight the same guy 3 times." I said, "You fought Mark Newcomb twice, and then you fought his brother Chris Newcomb." He's like, "Oh, I feel really bad because the third time I went really hard, and I threw them elbows," which he did. He fucked Chris up pretty good with them elbows, And I'm like, "No, man, no, that's cool, Like we went in there expecting it, We was trying to hurt you, and you was trying to hurt us, and you got the win, man. That's cool, But Brandon's he's a cool cat. Like I said, he wasn't trying to hurt people, and so he just got tired of fighting what he thought was the same guy when he fought both my nephews, and they went on to fight both. Mark went on to fight a few more times. He finished with a winning record, but he went to OU and shit. He had a degree, and he went to guard, and he's still in the guard like 20 years later. So he didn't really need fighting. So he just did a couple times, and like, yeah, I'm good. Chris fought a couple times too. He went on to do some other stuff too, and had a family, and wasn't really like. They didn't feel like they needed like I felt like I needed. Like I felt like I needed it, And I did it until my body couldn't let me do it no more. But yeah, man. And then Amy Stacy, and like I said, we saved cards, we took a fight against Tammy Snyder, and she came in like 20 pounds overweight, and we still took the fight. We took a fight against one of the Powell sisters on short notice up there. Man, I can't remember that area. It's in between like Stillwater and Tulsa. I forgot their area, but they live in the middle of nowhere. But man, they bang. I don't know where they're doing it at, but the couple of them, they got both the sisters fought, and a couple of the dudes fought, and Chris Powell managed a couple of people, and man, they were tough, And so we took a fight again. Then we took a fight out there in Vegas against Gutierrez, El Diablo. She was like 6 foot. Amy's 5'2". Wasn't a great fight for us. We took a boxing match down in Austin. Said, "Oh, this girl's first pro fight." They didn't tell us she was like 330-1 and the Southwest Golden Gloves champ as an amateur. Fucking dirty promoters. Went out to Georgia, and she was the first professional female main event out there. And that didn't really go our way either. But again, it was a short notice fight. promoter said for some reason a lot of them girls out there in Georgia weren't wanting to fight professional at the time. They were trying to get 2 local girls, but they weren't wanting to do it for some reason. It's kind of weird, but like I said, Amy was also fighting to feed our family, and to pay bills, and so we took bad fights and we saved cards and we put it on the line. And our records don't look good, but you got to consider the level of competition that we fought at, strength of schedule, so it's an OG list, but it's not necessarily, based on records. It's based on impact in MMA and impact, on saving cards and, just love of MMA, man, laying on the line.